Welcome to episode 13 of Crossroads of Destiny, an Avatar: The Last Airbender universe podcast. Right now, we're talking about every episode of Nickelodeon's Avatar: The Last Airbender one at a time. I'm Chad Hopkins, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Andrew and Melanie Grant. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good.
We're doing great.
Yeah, quick behind the scenes. We just recorded this. We just talked through this intro, and then I realized, I didn't hit the record button because I'm a professional podcaster, and I've only been doing this for 8 years.
MBD.
But anyways, it's been a while. It seems that every single time we sit down to record recently, it's been a long time since we last recorded, and that's just because of the nature of life and COVID-19 and work and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But we're glad to be sitting back together. We're going to try and be more regular now that we're at least in my summer months. So that's what we're here to do. Before we talk about the episode that we have scheduled for today, I just want to mention a piece of news that broke last month. So it's still relatively new. We're not too far behind the curve this time. There is an upcoming podcast that is going to be featuring Dante Basco, who plays Zuko, and Janet Varney, who plays Korra in The Legend of Korra. And they're going to be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, because of course they are. I'm excited about it. It actually premieres a week from Tuesday. That's recording time. As of posting time, it should be tomorrow for you guys if you're listening on the Monday this comes out. So hopefully you go check it out. I'm going to be excited to check it out. The official synopsis from iHeartMedia that they're partnering with to make this podcast reads, "Enter the amazing world of Avatar through the official companion podcast from Nickelodeon. Join hosts Janet Varney, the voice of Korra, and Dante Basco, the voice of Prince Zuko, each week as they rewatch every episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender and break down key themes, notable battles, and behind-the-scenes trivia. Special guests from cast members to producers join them to explore elements of the Avatarverse, including the origins of the story and how Avatar was brought to life." Which sounds really cool. I mean, based on my previous experience of hosting a podcast that was about a TV show, only to then have the stars of said TV show come in and record their own podcast doing the exact same thing we did, that has ended up okay. Like Office Ladies, I enjoy for the most part, aside from a few annoyances. And Brian Baumgartner's couple of podcasts at this point are both really good. So I'm excited. What about you guys?
We're just trendsetters. That's what we are.
That's what we do. It's fine.
Yeah. The 10, 20 Avatar podcasts that came before us definitely didn't kickstart the trend. It was us.
Those are irrelevant. They don't matter.
Our 12 episode, 11 episodes. I actually have a 12th episode that I haven't edited or posted yet because
Nice, Jen.
We are who we are.
Yeah. So, our 11 episodes are what did it.
That's right.
Yeah. Just as a quick side note,
The
the Office Ladies podcast intro is like, we're two Office ladies who were actually on the show and we're here to talk about the stuff. And it's like, here's behind the scenes stories from people who were there. And I always felt like that was pointed at me. Like every time I listen, it's like two people who were there. Like there's a pause that Angela intentionally leaves in who were there. And I was like, okay,
attacked.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
come on.
You can sit down.
I have told most of the stories that you have shared so far on my own podcast because it was already available. But anyways, that's its own thing.
You're good though, right, Chad?
I'm good.
Yeah. Tell me you have celebrity beef without telling me you have celebrity beef.
Anyways, I like Dante Basco. He's still really big in the Avatar universe anyways. He hosts watch parties, I think, and he has a book that has Zuko's face on it. So, I mean, I'm sure he's excited, and Janet Varney was great as Korra. I know, Andrew, you've only seen season 1 at this point.
That's true. That's true.
But the whole series is great, and so I'm excited to eventually talk about that. But anyways, to have
we have to get through all of the Avatar
right to have
And
to
we're
have
not
people,
doing so well so far.
to have people who are from both the original and the sequel series collaborating on this and to have that perspective, I think is going to be really cool.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
June 22nd, if it's past that date, you should go check it out on iHeartMedia, and it'll be available pretty much anywhere podcasts are available. So now we are here to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender and major story points and character decisions and all the things that they're going to be talking about. But this is us. This is our thing. And so that leads us to Book 1, Chapter 14, The Fortuneteller. It was directed by our favorite Dave Filoni. It was written by Aaron Ehaz and John O'Brien. It aired on September 23rd of 2005 and was animated by JM Animation. As far as summary goes, it says the trio comes across a small town in the Earth Nation that relies on a local fortune teller named Aunt Wu to find out about their futures, their love lives, and the safety of their town. Sokka is skeptical, as you would expect, but Aang and Katara find hope in what she says regarding their future love lives. So, I'll say, Andrew, with this episode, when I saw what it was, I was like, oh yeah, the Fortuneteller, I remember that one. Based on just my memories of it alone, and it's only been a year and a half since I last watched it, I just thought, oh, this episode. You remember how The Great Divide, we were like, that's kind of a nothing episode. And it ended up being good. We took some good stuff away from it. But I sort of had the same initial outlook on Fortuneteller. I was like, oh, it's this one. Oh, yeah. Okay. But I got to say, I really enjoyed watching it today.
No, absolutely. I definitely forgot a lot of this episode just because typically when I look back and remember, like when I'm remembering these, like the main, I'm usually remembering main plot carry-throughs. And not only is this not on the main plot, it doesn't even really like tie into the episodes really adjacent to it. No. So it's just kind of a strange little plug-in story. Mm-hmm. We get to learn some things, we get to experience some new things, but it's not necessarily like overarching main plot points. But we definitely had a lot of fun with this episode.
I mean, I didn't mind it. I do find that what you just mentioned just a little bit frustrating, though, is that because we're taking so much time in between of watching and recording our podcasts, it's kind of hard to remember what we had from before. Mm-hmm. So without looking it up or doing anything like that, I was really trying to remember what happened, where we left off. And I was like, that has nothing to do with this episode.
Right. No, because the previous episode was the Blue Spirit. And the one sort of sticking point from that episode to this episode was that Katara's necklace is missing. That's not even Blue Spirit. That's from further back. That's from Imprisoned.
Yeah.
That's the only sort of like connecting thread that leads specifically to a previous episode. So last we saw Aang was he thought maybe he had a friend in Zuko as he was rescued, but he did not, alas.
Alas.
And Zuko's not even anywhere to be seen this time. So it's just like an episode where we get to see Aang doing Avatar things, basically.
Which was still cool.
Yeah. Now that we've beat around the bush on this episode, we can talk specifically about what happens. So at the very start of the episode, I thought it was funny that Aang turned Sokka's fishing line into a necklace because he didn't think Sokka would need it. And that leads to two possibilities: either lack of fishing opportunities, like they just don't ever have a chance to go fishing, or lack of faith in Sokka's fishing ability.
Apparently Sokka just sucks at fishing.
Yeah. That has been a sort of carry through up to this point, hasn't it? Where they're just struggling to like find food as they travel.
Yeah, they were broke in one episode and didn't have food, and
another episode she said that Sokka had to get a job.
Yeah,
that was the storm.
Yeah.
So Sokka can't catch a fish.
Sokka can't catch a break.
Aww.
But no, he can't. But what I love about Aang making the necklace is that he makes it for Katara since she lost hers back and imprisoned, as I mentioned. And they're making it really clear, not for the first time. Well, maybe for the first time, they're like really defining Aang has a crush on Katara. Like we've seen glimpses of it, but here it is like laid out for you. Yeah. She puts it on. She says, "How do I look?" We get the flower effect and the pretty music. And Aang's like, your neck or all of you, because both are great.
Hashtag no filter.
Yeah. And Sokka even teases. Sokka is sort of clueless to it later in the episode, but he even teases, oh, he's in love. And Katara just says, oh, he's a great friend.
Like Momo.
Friend zoned.
Yeah.
Just like Momo.
Yeah.
That was soul crushing. Poor thing. Because his little face was so sad.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I love it.
So that's the initial setup for this episode, is that they're traveling. They need to make a stop by a town anyways because they don't have food. And Aang is really crushing hard on Katara. And so that's when they come across this guy who's like chilling out with the Platypus Bear and sidestepping all these violent attacks.
Which is, by the way, the weirdest animal that they've had so far, I feel.
This episode also has turkey ducks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That sound like Daffy.
That totally sound like Daffy Duck. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
because I thought I was kind of going crazy.
Second time I watched today.
But no, that's a weird. I know that like combine these animals a lot, but that one for me was a little weird.
Is this the first time that we had a combined animal? Because it's just been
no.
I mean, pretty much every animal in this universe is a mashup of a couple things.
Yeah.
Anyway, Platypus Bear, right?
Yeah, Platypus Bear.
It's ugly and weird.
And he's just like dodging everything. Like, no big deal.
Yeah,
I did think Appa's like defense against him was hysterical, though.
Yeah.
He was like, "Nope."
Yeah, he just like
water.
roars at him, and he meekly lays an egg and walks off.
Yeah.
So this guy, the reason he was so chill is because Aunt Wu, the fortune teller from his village, said that he was going to have his safe travels. He was gonna be fine. And so he's like, "Oh, this bear's not going to hurt me." So she was right. And I mean, that's some confidence right there in this woman's ability. They make a sort of a who's on first joke at this point. He says it's Aunt Wu. Aunt who? No, Aunt Wu.
Aunt Wu.
Like I said in the summary, Sokka is super skeptical, as we've sort of seen him be skeptical of the mystical, the otherworldly. I mean, like even initially he was skeptical of bending, and he's sort of come around a little bit in that regard. And even more so in the next episode, he comes around in that regard. But he's like, the logic isn't there. This doesn't make sense. She's just making lucky guesses. It's been cloudy all day. Of course you knew it was going to rain. So that's Sokka's perspective walking in. But Katara is all about trying to find out who she's going to marry. And Aang is like, am I going to marry Katara?
It's such a girl thing to do.
Yeah.
If I were definitely a 13-year-old girl, which I was, but if I was at that point, I would have totally wanted to know how my romantic life ended out.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I guess. And here we are.
In a funny moment before they get into the town, Sokka says, I predict that it's going to keep on raining. And it immediately stops raining.
Yeah.
And Aang just says,
because it's Sokka.
not everyone has the gift, Sokka.
And I bet that really just kind of tick him off a little bit because, like you said, Chad, he has abilities for fighting, sort of. Not very much fishing or anything, but he also doesn't have bending powers, and he feels left out, I'm sure, in certain aspects of that. And so for him to definitely not have predicting powers probably sends that home a little bit stronger.
Yeah, he wants to put his faith more in the realism and the things that he can grasp than the stuff that
doubting
is
Thomas.
more ethereal. We are immediately introduced to Mang, who looks like a Ghibli character.
She really does. Her hair.
Yeah, the tooth
missing
gap.
tooth.
Yeah. She comments on Aang's very large ears. And I love that Sokka says, oh, don't be modest. They're huge. So we meet Aunt Wu, and Katara's first to go, and Aang, I'm trying to not just describe this whole episode.
Right.
We're getting to a talking point.
It's there somewhere.
Yeah. So Aang decides to go spy on Katara to see, okay, is she going to be talking about me? Because that's what I want. I want to know, am I going to be marrying Katara?
Dropping them eaves.
And Aunt Wu says, you're going to marry a powerful bender. And Aang's like, well, I'm the most powerful. So that's good news for me.
He walks off all smug. And
How
everything.
about I didn't think of Aang? I know that's terrible, but I didn't.
Gosh.
When she said that, I was like, oh, so not Aang.
Oh, wow. Yikes.
Just cross him off that list.
I mean, and then I was like, oh, shoot, this is what the whole episode, that the whole series is about.
Yeah.
But my mind immediately went to Zuko.
Okay.
He's a powerful bender.
True.
She didn't say the most powerful bender.
Because you separated the word like powerful, comma, bender. Not
Yes.
a powerful bender, but someone who is powerful. And someone
And
who is
also a bender. Yes.
I see that. I see where you went.
Well, I want to go ahead and get to this talking point. How much faith would you put in what she said? She made me think of Professor Trelawney from Harry Potter because
None.
a lot of the stuff that she was saying is like what Sokka was pointing out.
Kind of obvious.
If you see that it's cloudy, then yeah, it's probably going to rain.
Yeah.
If you wear red shoes every day, then yeah, you'll be wearing them when you meet the love of your life.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of like petty stuff, like reading tea leaves is not the exact example I want to think of, but
Palm
Trelawney
reading.
has a lot of nonsense in her predictions. But the whole crux of Harry Potter lends on the one real prediction she actually did have.
Right.
And
That's true.
we see a moment in this episode where Aunt Wu is reading Aang's fortune, and he throws the bone on the fire and it like explodes. And she talks about this huge battle between good and evil. I mean, it's not like she could
the
really
entire world will
Yeah.
be reliant on. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like she could force that bone to splinter the way it did. That was like a legitimate thing. So Do you think there's any stock in anything she's saying? Do you think there's stock in what she's saying to Katara?
I don't think so much about Katara. I think she is very talented in spinning stories for people to just placate them and having them feel like a sense of security with her predictions. Maybe there's some hope for Katara and her predictions, but honestly, I think that was a true surprising moment for her whenever the bone split and she saw these predictions.
Like, oh snap, something real's happening.
I was like, holy crap, now I have to really...
Say, you can kind of see it on her face, like she is surprised that something's actually happening.
So I think that I don't doubt for the story's sense that she does have some type of ability, but I don't think she actually uses that ability all the time. And so it kind of shocked her that she had to actually step up and do things that she said she's been doing and predict some things happening for Aang in the future. I love how Aang was just like, yeah, cool. But who am I going to marry?
Right. And then she picks up a splinter of a bone and it's like a fortune cookie is basically what it is. She says, what does she say? Your future? No.
No.
Trust your heart and you will be with the one you love. That's straight up fortune cookie.
Yeah, I think I've had that fortune before. Like that's straight up fortune cookie.
Yeah. And she even holds up the splinter like she's holding up the strip of paper that she just pulled from the cookie.
I found the most music part was when it all blew up and she gave the fortune of like the huge battle and I was just like,
yeah, I know that already.
Like, duh.
This is why I'm here.
And then she was like, oh, you want to hear about love? Sure. and then you see her placate. Like that's like you see both when she reads for Aang. It's like something real. And then, but you want to be comforted about your love life, so follow your heart.
Yeah.
Winky face. Like
yeah.
Winky face.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally that there is some legitimacy. I mean, Sokka makes good points about the common sense aspects of her predictions, but when she predicted that the volcano wouldn't destroy the town, she, much to Sokka's chagrin, she was correct. Yeah, it hinged on Aang being there to save the day, but she was right. She still predicted that would happen.
Which is the same thing about the platypus bear. Like the guy was safe, not because he didn't run into danger, but because someone was there to prevent the danger from becoming an actual threat.
And I don't think she has any ill intent towards any of it either. I think it's more of like, that town was the happiest town that they've come across. Everybody was relaxed. Everybody was at ease. Everybody was good. They're like, oh no, that's not going to happen to me. Aunt Wu told me, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I mean, I think she does it to keep almost the peace in her town, to help them.
Yeah,
Is it always the best advice?
She's doing it for free, too.
And she's doing it for free.
That's why I was just like, if she was just like, and
I know,
had a whole bunch of money.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of goodwill thrown her way because she is the town soothsayer.
And I was waiting for the other shoe to drop with her. I was like, okay, cool. So when is she going to be evil?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I think there's some legitimacy to her predictions, but this episode did have a deeper point to make, especially in regards to what's happened in the United States over the last couple of years, in regards to misinformation and taking it wholesale.
Yeah.
And
then not listening to what's actually happening.
Only reading the headline and not reading what's the rest of everything.
Right. And taking things at face value too much rather than critical thinking at all, or using common sense or using reason or using science. Yes, science can tell you that it's going to rain.
Can your science explain the rain? Yes. I love that line.
So I was really surprised. That was the biggest thing I took away from this episode, was that this episode went there. Like it went for the people who take everything as truth.
And will, quote unquote, die on that hill.
Yeah. Like I saw on a meme on Facebook that this is true.
Yeah. And then we'll never stray from that point.
Right.
That is a solid written in stone fact.
Yeah. Until there's an opposite meme that contrasts.
Or they watch something on TikTok and it changes everything.
Yeah. So
I almost got into anti-vaxxers, but that's not what we're talking about.
Until Hank Green tells them otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a really salient point considering United States politics and
most things, actually. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I just meant it hit particularly hard considering
absolutely,
recent
especially
stuff.
with how we've seen things unfold. And this was what, a decade ago? Oh my God.
This is 15, 16 years ago.
16 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
I mean, it just proves that things haven't changed. It's fine.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on to lighter things, I do love the reading she gave Sokka. She just looks at him and says, "Your future is full of struggle and anguish."
She didn't even
Most of
take
it self-inflicted. He says, "But you didn't read my palms or anything." I don't need to.
I don't need to.
It's all over your face.
His face was really funny in this whole episode.
And she was right as well.
Yeah. I mean, that was like
That
to
is-
a T, Sokka.
That is Sokka's MO.
Yeah. He proved that point multiple times throughout the rest of the episode.
Yes.
So with Aunt Wu's prediction, quote, prediction on his mind, Aang is like, "Okay, Sokka, you know about the lady folk, right? You got some ideas for me." And as I mentioned earlier, Sokka's completely oblivious to the fact that Aang is talking about Katara because he sees Mang following Aang around. They rhyme. Hey, that's cute. And he's like, "Yeah, I sense that she's into you too, but you got to maintain maximum aloofness." And I've got to say, this is a little bit surprising coming from Sokka after the brief but memorable relationship he had with Suki.
Mm-hmm.
He's just wrong.
He's wrong. I guess that wasn't, he hasn't been around Suki enough to really curb the ways he has thought to talk to women.
But he has been around women, right? Like, just
Well-
girls in general.
His tribe.
I'm sure someone in that tribe was like, nah, that's stupid. That has to be. Because any girl, I mean, we saw it in the episode. It's just, no, that's not how you do things.
Yeah, I don't know where he would have gotten this idea from. I highly doubt his father would have told him this. But, I mean, before his parents left, it has been more than 2 years. And so he's probably too young to be interested in girls and didn't have any sort of talk. And so this is just something he's come up with on his own now that he's older and interested in women and has women to be interested in, potentially. And so he just tells Aang, yeah, pretend like you don't care one way or the other. And obviously it doesn't go well for Aang when he tries the same thing.
God, it's such bad advice.
Yeah. I mean, there's not really anything else to say about that. It's just, thanks for the bad
I'm really
advice,
trying to
Sokka.
think of where this could have come from, but it was
No.
stereotypical teenager advice
Yeah.
in the real world. So
Yeah.
we just took it at face value.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Aang decides the aloofness doesn't work. He sees somebody give a panda lily to a woman, and she's like really into it.
Yeah.
So he says, "Okay, I'm going to get Katara a panda lily. Sokka, come with me. And we're going to go check out this volcano that Aunt Wu says is not going to destroy the village this year. So it'll be good." And lo and behold, they find the panda lilies, but they also find a volcano full of lava. Aunt Wu did not say that the volcano wasn't going to explode, technically.
That's true. It just said the village wasn't going to be destroyed.
The village wasn't going to be destroyed. So when they come back to the town to say, "Oh no, guys, the volcano's going to come and it's going to destroy the town," they're like, "Nah, Aunt Wu said that's not going to happen. So we're good." And so they mess with the clouds. That's a really fun scene. There's some cool visuals as Katara and Aang are flying through the sky on Appa, water bending the clouds.
Katara's getting really good.
Yeah, yeah.
That was one thing that stood out to me in this episode, was that her water bending is getting really, really good. Like before, when we saw her, she couldn't hardly manipulate a puddle to do what she wanted.
Yeah, a lot of time on the road and being in an environment where her bending is encouraged
Yeah.
is really helping her. She's figuring out a lot.
Absolutely.
So that's a really cool scene. They make the giant skull in the sky, dark mark in the sky. And oh no, Aunt Wu predicts the volcano is going to destroy the town. So we got to do something about it. So we get to see some earthbending as they dig a trench. That's really
Which is
cool.
really
It's
cool.
always nice seeing earthbenders, even in those 2 brief snippets that we see.
Right.
Awkward moment where I forgot that earthbenders were a part of this tribe. And so whenever they showed the trench out of just like a few minutes of this happening, I was like, how?
With shovels?
With shovels, guys, come on. And then I saw this man
been like 3
move a
minutes.
boulder.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
And Momo was helping.
sweet
Yeah,
Momo.
Momo got a rock. Yeah.
I love Momo.
And Appa had a much bigger rock.
Appa had a much bigger rock.
Yeah. So
Good old Appa.
they dig the trench, and it doesn't seem to quite be enough. And Aang gets to show off. He gets to flex his airbending, his prowess as a powerful bender. And and it's a really cool moment. Like, it is honestly really awesome seeing
I
him just like
it.
leap into action and summon the lava up into the air and then cool it rapidly, so it's just formed in this cool arching formation around
Felt
the town.
Very Atlantis.
Oh yeah, the Disney film. Yeah, I know the scene you're talking about where like the lava covers Atlantis and there's the dome and it just hardens over it. Yeah,
spoilers.
Like a Sunday. Like a turtle shell.
It's a 20-year movie.
Yeah.
20-year-old movie.
Yeah.
So we get to see that, and of course then Katara gets the notion, oh, he is a powerful bender. So this is the first time Katara seems to maybe be into possibly the idea of seeing Aang as a romantic interest, which is cool for Aang, I suppose.
Way to go, Aang.
Yeah.
You did it.
You did the thing.
And the only other thing to mention, for me at least, in this episode is Aunt Wu's final quote to Aang, where he confronts her and says, you really didn't see anything about my love life in that Chinese fortune cookie. I mean, the bones in the fire, did you?
Fire thing. Yeah.
And she says, listen, just as you reshaped those clouds, you have the power to shape your own destiny. Mm-hmm. And I love that quote coming from her specifically, because it's such a powerful statement from the person who is claiming to be able to read the future.
Right.
To say that, you know what, just because I say it doesn't mean it's true. Right. You have the power. It's very Back to the Future of her. Mm-hmm. Your future is what you make of it.
Exactly.
So make it a good one, both of you. Yeah.
I just can't believe he didn't ask about the outcome of the battle.
Oh, yeah, like, so do I win, or...
Do I learn everything I need to? No.
So is there any other story stuff in this episode? I think that's the gist of it. It's more of a concept episode, like, this is a problem in society. Let's see how they deal with it.
They dealt with it. Good. Yeah, no, I think that's it.
Yeah.
What it kind of reminisces with me about, like, kind of looking back full picture, because obviously Pursuit of Happiness was not out at this time. But at the very end, when...
I think it might have been.
Might have been?
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Pursuit of Happiness was the 2005 movie.
Oh, God, that's so old.
You don't have to keep saying it.
At the very end, the little boy tells a joke about the man drowning in the ocean, and two boats come by. And when they tried to save him, he goes, don't worry, God's going to save me. Mm-hmm. And then at the very end, he goes up to heaven because he drowns and goes, God, I thought you were going to save me. And he says, I sent you two big boats, you dummy.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of what it reminded me of, in the sense of, like, what you believe and what you've been told is not always going to verbatim match what you assume is they're talking about. Mm-hmm. So, like, yes, the man was safe on the road. Yes, the town wasn't destroyed. But they also thought that meant nothing would happen to them.
Right. If Aang hadn't been there, they would have been screwed.
Right. They were all safe, but that's not what the prediction was. Mm-hmm. The prediction wasn't that the volcano wasn't going to erupt. It was that the town was going to be safe. Mm-hmm. And so all of them thought that they could stay in the town because they made the connection that the volcano wasn't going to erupt and therefore they were going to be safe. Mm-hmm. That is a connection that wasn't ever made by anyone besides the people in the town. Mm-hmm. And so when you have these moments where, you know, you feel like you know where your path is, or you have some kind of moment of clarity that doesn't necessarily give you those details of how things will unfold. Mm-hmm. And you have to be open to the fact that, yes, things can change, and that there are powerful forces that can alter the course or to get you from point A to B. Like, there are things in between. There are definitely variables that exist that aren't always going to line up exactly how you assume they will. And I thought that was a kind of interesting lesson to derive from this. It obviously wasn't like handed to you, but you can put that, you kind of put that together, especially looking back and rewatching and things like that, that it's not always clear what will happen. And even from the Fortuneteller, we hear that things can change. Mm-hmm. And ultimately we're in control of that.
Yeah, and maybe just one more small thing. It could even be some sort of commentary on staying out of conflict. Like, the war clearly hasn't been to this place, or at least it doesn't seem to have been. And they had grown somewhat complacent with their lives because they just thought that everything was going to be hunky-dory. Mm. And that isn't necessarily the case. And that there's room for both belief in the unexplained, but you have to approach with logic, you have to approach with reason and science, and you have to allow for the possibility that not everything is going to be okay just because somebody says it will be.
Right.
Just one small thing. This isn't a story thing, but I wanted to point out that the voice of Meng is an actress named Jessie Flowers, and she is going to be back to voice another major character in the future. So,
oh, fun.
Yeah, we'll mention that when we get to it. It's still a ways off.
Yeah.
So we're getting to Melanie's predictions from last episode. What did Melanie get right / wrong about the Fortuneteller?
Let's see here. This was written
many moons ago.
So anyway, let's see here. The Fortuneteller predictions. Find things out. Main quest. Mastering elements.
Didn't we talk about you writing in full sentences?
That was closer to a full sentence than I'd had previously. Because this one other just says Zuko and Uncle or Avatar
It's just
Storm.
gibberish now.
I was also hoping that we would record a weekend.
We already said it was Chad's fault. We don't have to keep reliving it.
Okay.
But I think what this was that the plot line we were going to continue on the main quest, which was going to
the Northern Water Tribe.
Northern Water Tribe.
So
and
no.
We were going to start mastering elements.
Still no.
Also no.
I feel like that should be my prediction for every next episode.
Yeah.
Because eventually
I'll be right. Eventually you'll stop messing around.
Yeah. I mean, well, this is a filler episode, and I don't mean that in a negative connotation. This is just like a day in the life of these people.
Time, kind of.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily relate to the main quest, as it were, but that's okay. Anything else from last time?
Zuko progressing with less revenge, because we thought after the Blue Spirit there might be some tie
some
there.
doubt, maybe.
Little did I know he wasn't even going to appear in this episode.
Some softer moments with Aang and Zuko.
Not quite.
Okay, fine. So I was really wrong.
So
It's okay.
Just
It's okay.
no across the board.
Thanks, babe. I think we got it.
It's
Anyone
okay.
was in doubt.
Let's talk about your predictions for the next episode, which is titled Bateau of the Water Tribe. Now, we have already watched Bateau of the Water Tribe, but we got some of Melanie's predictions ahead of watching it that we've already documented. So what are some of the things that Melanie guessed about Bateau?
Melanie was betting 1,000. She said that Bateau was part of a water tribe.
Good guess.
Astute observation. That they know Bateau, even though he's from the Northern Water Tribe.
Okay, so she predicted that he's a Northern Water Tribe person.
Yes. An old friend, or a love interest or betrothed to Katara.
So like he and Katara maybe had something going on.
Yes.
In the past.
All past. All flame.
I said this thing about Aang getting jealous, that he was going to get jealous of the love interest.
So Bateau would come in as an old flame of Katara, and Aang was not going to like it.
Yes.
Gotcha. I did miss that part. And then that we would get an update on the war, what's happening with the Fire Nation, what's happening with the Water Tribes, what is going on outside of
I just want to know when the Northern
slow
Water
crawl.
Tribe is going to be introduced.
the slow crawl to the Northern Water Tribe.
Oh my God, it's like the worst.
Okay.
Those are our predictions.
Yep.
That's our thoughts for Bateau and the Water Tribe, which is next time. But for now, that's the end of the 13th episode of Crossroads of Destiny. Contact for the show, facebook.com/xroadspod or @xroadspod on Twitter. I know it's been a while. We haven't released a lot lately, but if you want to help boost us so more people can find us and we'll record more often, you can rate, review, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or on your podcasting app of choice. If you have any direct feedback or ideas, you can email us at xroadspod@gmail.com. And don't forget, we have a voicemail that you can call. Now, when you call, I am not going to answer the phone. Andrew and Melanie are not going to answer the phone. You will get our voicemail, and you can leave a voicemail. I opened the voice app, and we had like a couple of missed calls, and I don't know if you were expecting to talk to me. Sorry, but just leave a voicemail, and we'd be happy to play it on the show if it is a good question or a good discussion topic. We'd love to hear from you and include you and make you a part of the show too. The voicemail line, the phone number is 3145-YIP-YIP. That is 314-594-7947. If you keep it around a minute or so, that is your best opportunity to have it included on the show. And like I said, we'd love to hear from you. Melanie, where can people find you online?
They can find me, I guess, on Instagram. It's MelanieAmanda44.
Okay. And Andrew, you can find through the Twitter account or just contact Melanie or me, and we will relay the information.
Mm-hmm.
The best place to find me is at Chadadada on Twitter. That is CHADADADA. I have my other podcasts. There is the Cinescope podcast, which is a movie discussion podcast. You can find it on Twitter at CinescopePod or thecinescopepodcast.com. Or you can find my office discussion podcast, which I mentioned earlier, called An American Workplace, on Twitter at WorkplacePod or workplacepodcast.com. And of course, you can find both of those wherever you can find your other podcasts. Show notes and contact information for this show can be found at xroadspod.com. And that is it. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you in episode 14 when we will talk about Book 1, Chapter 15, Bato of the Water Tribe. Bye, everybody.
Bye.